Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
The missing 4-year-old. The parents have called the ambulance, but the mother has went through a wall, came home, now they can't find her.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Once I told a lie, and I told my family, I had to keep lying.
What's your, is it deemed?
We haven't cleared anybody.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for another ATS News live stream. We'll continue our part 2 in our reevaluation of Gypsy Rose on the stand during her testimony for Nick's trial, and just go through some quote unquote updates. Let's start with some recent things. So 1 second while I share my screen. And thank you guys for being here. Thanks for the tea, Johnny. And is the sound okay? Hi, Tony, Fortune, Sherry. Good to see you guys. Hey, Tater. All right. Just waiting for the okay. Thank you, Heather. Okay. So pretty much this thing's going around. She hasn't posted on social media in six days, but the last thing she posted had to do with her going to the LSU game with Ken, the baby's father, the alleged baby's father. And apparently, I'll just play this video.
Wait a second. Did Gypsy and Ryan go to this LSU game at the same time? He just said he was going this weekend, and here's Gypsy and Ken. Let me roll the clips.
On to LSU and UCLA tomorrow night. Tomorrow. It's going to be hot, but I'm looking forward to it. LSU game.
Woo! Go Tigers.
Wait a second. Did Gypsy and Ryan go to this LSU game at the same time?
Just
he
playing
just
it
said
again
he was going
to
this
reiterate.
weekend, and here's Gypsy and Ken. Let me roll the clips.
On to LSU and UCLA tomorrow night. Tomorrow. It's going to be hot, but I'm looking forward to it. LSU game.
Woo! Go Tigers.
I mean, does anyone else find that kind of odd behavior? Almost borderline of like stalking him. I mean, we've heard over and over. She's like, "Oh, Ryan still reaches out to me, blah blah blah." This is her last thing that she's posted on social media on her TikTok, referring to the game. So Ryan posts on his TikTok live that he's going to the game the next day. Hey, Melly. Hi, Jay. Good to see you. Yes. I'm not really big into sports, believe it or not, Jay. But yeah, I know a lot of people are. Yeah, she's stalking Ryan. It's like she's stalking Ryan, and like it just shows her maturity level, like you're going to be a mother. Like, was this done for filming for the show? Right, not a coincidence. I guess, yeah, anyone can obviously go for sure. And like Jay said, I mean, sports in America, especially football season, like people go all out. I just think it's like, I don't know. Says nobody ever stalked me. Yeah, that's the thing, Courtney. It's like, if it was anybody else who didn't have this kind of unsettling background tied to men that she's been with, I feel like I would feel the same way. Like, well, I mean, back where I went to grew up and went to high school and stuff, like if you're not at the basketball games, because it's big there, the college basketball, then, what are you doing living in this town? So, but at the same time, has Gypsy ever expressed wanting to go to an LSU game? I mean, obviously she's there with Ken. It's just a little bit rocky, I feel, when it's Gypsy going to this place that her ex is at given after everything we know about her. And like, I really do think, and I don't know what you guys think, she's like keeping Ryan on like her back burner. Emily says, I can't watch this woman. Is she really pregnant? A lot of people don't think she's pregnant. Like, I thought that was going to kind of die down after a while. Like, oh, surely people are going to see like she's pregnant. But like, no, like people have almost doubled down. Like, they even refer to these images with her and Ken at the game. Like, who is, why is it looking like she's not getting any bigger? And it's just very hard because every person carries differently. Like, I worked with a girl and I swear she'd be like 5 months pregnant and you couldn't even tell. So it's very difficult to kind of assume everybody's the same. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, Jay. To me, it's all like WWE. She's making storylines and stuff. It's strange. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you it's funny how we're like always on the same page, like without even saying it. And then when you say a comment, Jay, and then when I say something, I feel like we're both like, yes, that's exactly how I was thinking. It's very, not only is it juvenile behavior, but it's very much like makes me feel like she lives in this like fantasy world still, like she did when she was conversing with Nick, and it was like they're role playing, and just like she could never, the excitement, everyone gets excited talking about Disney, but like during her confession, 24 years old, like the excitement in her voice, like talking about it, it's like she was 12. It's like you realize you're not really Cinderella, right? Like, I know you dressed up in all these outfits and stuff, but it's like now she's, and also add in the, she did one season with Lifetime, and then she admittedly came out saying, I found out I was pregnant, so I reached out to Lifetime. So it's like, did she plan the pregnancy so that she could continue on Lifetime with like the next storyline involving the pregnancy? It's very strange. And she's triangulating Ryan and Ken the way she triangulated Dan and yet Nick. Yes, it's like the same behavior. It obviously different circumstances and for different motives, but what are the motives really? Like to create like some drama so everyone kind of talks about it, and then you have like storylines for the show. It just is like borderline of me feeling like, I don't know, like at this child, I'm very concerned. Like, I've even heard rumors that she's going to share the birth, like with TV or Lifetime or whatever. I don't know if that's 100%, but she has already said in her live stream that like she wanted to share just the pregnancy and that she wasn't going to put the baby out there. So I feel like it's like we can expect I'm really wondering if we are opening the door for like a reality show with Gypsy and we end up watching this child grow up. Like, is that going to happen? Like, are we going to see first birthday, second birthday, and we're like going to watch this whole time? I don't know where this is headed. Oh, I bet she will share all of it. Yeah, she'll definitely show the baby if there is a baby, for sure. Truman Show in real life. Yeah. Right. She says that then she gets more attention and wants it even more. Right. And then she tries to act like, I'm really a private person. Remember that quote? I'm like, what? In my opinion, her Lifetime rating stats and commercial ad time wasn't worth another season, so she had to conceive to get another season and step up the drama. And all the drama with, and I agree, Letitia, it's like all the drama too with like Christy, like hooking up her and Ken. Like, is she in on this too? And she's like, and like, I'm sorry, we all kind of thought it was weird that the stepmother says, even though she's married to Ryan, I don't care. I've been in contact with Ken for a while. We're friends. I like Ken, blah, blah, blah. It's like he left Gypsy high and dry in prison. Like, it didn't really even give her a true excuse. So I don't know. I never understood, and I still don't. And then we get that whole dynamic with her daughter, Mila, like confronting her, like saying that that was wrong. And Gypsy's dad said, like, you need to stop butting in. Yeah, I know. I'm worried for the kid too. Looks like she's starved for attention. Yeah, she's still in her dream world with Ken. And he looks so not interested. Like in this video, he looks happy, but what guy isn't happy going to the football game? You know what I mean? I know. I hope that won't be the case, but we all have that fear, I think. I think we're just like crossing our fingers and like, man, I really hope this doesn't turn out like horrible. But I think she's going to put their whole life out there. Hi, EE Caroline. Okay, so let's watch this little TikTok of them. Again, people are like, why is she not posting? It's been 6 days. I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. But, and then people also threw out the idea, like, wait, I thought that she had some protective order against Ryan. I don't know. I never knew if that ever went through. If you guys know, like, let me know.
We're at the LSU game.
Woo! Go Tigers.
Oh dear, look at all these selfies. So the comments, Gypsy is in her everything era. So happy for you. I think on TikTok, she kind of like filters her comments the most. Like sometimes on Instagram and stuff, in her YouTube, like you'll see comments like judgy ones. Looks like these are all supporters. And that's the thing is we're not Gypsy haters. Well, at least I'm not, but I just am like really, really skeptical and like weary of like everything that she has said in the past and done so far since being released. I'm just like, the heck's going on here? Speaking of which, she did go on her friend's YouTube or panel or something, some social media platform. We talked about it last week, and it's the only podcast that she's really been doing or will do, even though she's been invited on Morbids and other people's panels to kind of talk and like, okay, let me just, if everything is how you say it is, like, is it okay if we talk like on our panel? And she's obviously declined everybody and only felt comfortable going on her friends. And she complained about how not we all, but you know, the public, I guess, picks apart every single word that she says and will call her a liar just because she phrases something differently. And the example she used was, when I went fishing, I said that I'd never fished before. And then everyone started talking about like, wait, and you went crabbing with your dad, like you're a liar. So we don't kind of pick it apart that much, I don't think, here. But, you know, there are times that we've caught her in inconsistencies and lies, or, you know, stating something one way about a story, like in reference to her, you know, treatments and surgeries and stuff. And then in another interview years later or whenever, it's different. You know, this little clip here is just a small example. Since she's been pregnant, you know, everyone's kind of been like, wow, I can't believe somebody with as much money as her is really asking for people to buy her gifts, like with a registry and all that stuff. So wait, I just wanted to play this and you guys let me know what you think. And hello, Roxanne and everyone else who joined. Yeah, Caroline says, I cannot imagine Gypsy as a parent. She does not know anything but grifting. The baby will only be an excuse to con money out of people. I mean, for real, she's already exploiting the baby, in my opinion. Right.
Started to shop for a crib and a couple of other nursery items. I haven't found that perfect crib yet, though. I really want it to be special. I want it to be something that just fits perfectly. So I've actually seen a lot of like cute cribs. I have gone like crib shopping online, and I've seen one that I really liked, and I bought it. And it's called Cradlewise, and it's a kind of like a bassinet, and it like bounces up and down. It's supposed to like mimic like your body when you're holding the baby, like that bouncing motion. And it has a sensor detector that will detect when the baby moves, figure out its sleeping patterns, and know when to start rocking. So I did get that. That's the first thing, or you know, one of the things that I bought for the baby. And I know I'm only 15, you know, about 15 weeks tomorrow. I've started to shop for a crib and a couple of other nursery items. I haven't found that perfect crib yet, though.
So again, you can tell by the hair, by the live stream or video that this is on, it was more recent. So back at 15 weeks pregnant, she's telling everyone like, I bought this crib, and it was that like, I don't know, $1,400 crib. It's like these little things, right? Like, and it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And this channel basically was in support of her when we started talking about her. And then everything just started kind of unraveling for me and for a lot of people, I think, in chat. And it's just like, this just isn't adding up. So everything that she's stated just doesn't seem to be adding up, even about the crime in my mind. So that's what we're kind of doing, is revisiting things. This is obviously after she was released, and then we're going to jump into her testimony, the second half.
Fame is not what I'm looking for. I always said I think I'm infamous, and then I came out famous.
You've had shots of your selfie out of prison. You've commented on your love life. Are you enjoying the attention?
Honestly, I'm a very shy person. I don't think that I'm doing anything that anybody else wouldn't do.
I'm a very shy person. I know. I don't think I've ever heard her be genuine once, Jay said. Right. Honestly, whenever, you guys already know, when somebody starts a sentence off with honestly, and this we've visited, but I just kind of want to leave this here before we jump to her on the stand and question everything she's basically saying under oath. I just don't understand to this day, and we've kind of talked about this in the past, why were Dee Dee's last words "don't hurt me" that she knows about if she's in the bathroom? I just never understood this.
I guess I hurt her feelings or something. She said, starting to feel more relaxed. Don't hurt me.
She said to me, "Don't hurt me."
And when you listen to that whole thing in context, it's like she tries to make it seem like because they weren't getting along and stuff like that. But I just kind of wonder if that's sort of a Freudian slip, or saying the story was one way when it was actually a different way. Was she really there and she was hearing "don't hurt me"? Yeah, like Heather said, like, is it this? She's telling the truth for the first time there. Like, that's what I wonder. Yeah, there's no genuine core to Gypsy. She is swirling collection of lies, swirling around a core of nothing. It's very much seeming to be that way. I think Gypsy was the one of using Dee Dee near the end, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of people theorize that too. Cindy, good to see you. Hey, Melanie. Still haven't heard from Bean Bio Girl. Has anybody else? Let's see. I know, I don't believe anything. Right. So let's just get into the second half. First half obviously was last week. We did wonder about certain things she was saying. So to see more on that, you would have to watch last week's stream, where we kind of questioned things that she was saying in this first 30 minutes.
I didn't believe I could do it.
Could you explain what you mean by that?
I don't like blood. I don't like the sight of blood. Frankly, I'm too squeamish. So I just honestly didn't believe I could do it on my own.
After the murder, how long did you and Nick remain in Missouri?
Maybe 2 days.
And where were you planning on going?
Back to his mom's house in Wisconsin.
Did you encounter any problems that caused you to be delayed from leaving Springfield?
Yes, sir.
What problems?
His return bus ticket, there was no room for an extra passenger on that bus. So we had to change bus tickets. So that delayed us about a day.
And where did you go that extra day?
We went back to the motel.
What motel?
Days Inn.
Why did you go to that motel?
That was the motel that he was staying at.
Who paid for that motel room?
I did.
Who went in to reserve the room?
Nick did.
Why did Nick go in and make the reservation if you were paying for it?
I didn't want to be seen.
Why did you not want to be seen?
I didn't want to be recognized.
Did you go anyplace else other than Days Inn while you remained in Springfield after your mother's death?
And that right there, doesn't it almost seem like we could interpret her using Nick as like the sacrificial lamb to be seen on camera checking into the hotel instead of her? And if she did nothing wrong besides, run away with this guy who did this to her mother, why would she need to kind of hide that much from a camera? Yeah, like Tony said, she didn't want to get caught. She knew the steps to take. She knows, people get caught when they're seen on camera. So I'm going to hide and I'm going to get him to do it. Just like I got him to do this crime and possibly with her. Well, I mean, she was the prepper and planner. Because I didn't want to be recognized, as if he asked a stupid question. Right. Like, why would I not go in there? Duh. Yep, she knew what she was doing. Yeah. Very, very thought out, very thorough. She groomed him. And I don't know. Her saying she's very squeamish.
Yes.
Where?
The Waffle House right across the street. Post office. Walmart. And of course the Greyhound bus station.
Okay, let's take them one at a time. Why did you go in the Waffle House? That may seem like a silly question. But why did you go in the Waffle House?
Because we were hungry.
Okay, when did you go to the Waffle House?
I think it was the morning of the 12th.
Why did you go to the post office?
To mail the knife back to his mother's house.
And who decided to mail the knife through the mail?
I did.
Why did you decide to mail it through the mail?
Because he wanted me to take it in my backpack, and I never had ridden on a bus before, and I didn't think that there were any way that I could get it through without being undetected. So I figured mail it. People mail knives all the time. They buy knives offline. Nobody will know the difference.
And another example of something in the plan being her idea. She came up with that.
The return address on the package, what return address was it?
Mine.
And then it was mailed to his house in Wisconsin?
Yes, sir.
Why did you go to Walmart?
We needed a few extra things.
Did you go in Walmart?
No, sir.
Why not?
I waited outside with the luggage.
Did you?
Didn't want to be seen in Walmart either. And yeah, I'm not really believing this whole squeamish thing either. I hear squeamish in blood. Caroline says, to be a line a guilty person would say to try to claim they were incapable of murder. Right. It's just almost like the typical, the line, you know. I think Gypsy was reviewing her memory of the murder and it involved her. Right. I could see it. Yeah, she admitted to lying to her lawyers and laughing.
You go in the post office?
Yes.
Do you know exactly when you arrived in Wisconsin?
I believe it was the night of the 13th.
And did he have family that he lived with?
Yes.
Do you know who the family was?
His mother, his stepfather, and his little brother.
And how long were you at the house until law enforcement came?
2 days.
What were your plans going forward? What did you plan on doing?
Just staying with him and living forever there.
Give any thought to possibly the police locating you? Did that ever occur to you?
No, sir.
What did you think would happen to you?
Thought maybe that if people knew that I was gone, they would just think I was missing. And missing people go, unfound all the time. So I just thought I'd remain a missing person.
Now, there was a Facebook post made about this case. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
Do you know where that Facebook post was made, on whose account?
Yes, sir.
Whose account?
My mother's.
What did the Facebook post say? If you can recall exactly, or close to it.
That bitch is dead.
Was there a comment in the post as well about the daughter?
Yes, sir.
What was that comment?
I don't remember exactly how it was worded.
Was it
Something to the fact of, I raped her sweet innocent daughter. Her laugh was so fucking loud.
Who made that post?
I did.
Did you make that post pretending to be somebody else?
Yes.
And who were you pretending to be?
Nick.
And why would you make that post claiming to be Nick?
I wanted her to be found. I wanted the cops to find her body.
Now, when you and Nick left her house, did you take any money with you?
Yes.
How much?
A little over $4,000.
And where did you get that money?
I stole it from my mother's safe.
While you were gone, how much of that money did you spend?
So she has admitted to abusing prescription pain pills before in the past. She's admitted to stealing the knife from Walmart. stealing money from her mother, planning this whole crime with Nick. But the one part where she draws the line is doing the crime itself. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if I buy that anymore. Like I said, I definitely trusted the prosecution's story, but the more I get to know her herself, it adds up to me not really fully believing that she had no involvement as far as the murder takes place.
Couple of $100.
Just one moment, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Gypsy, just a couple more questions. Did your mother own a car?
Yes, sir.
What kind of car?
I can't remember what it's called now. It's a little Nissan Cube, I think.
Okay. Why did you take the Nissan Cube?
I don't know how to drive.
I don't
Do you
think
have a
I
driver's
either.
license?
No, sir.
Did Nick have a driver's license?
Yes, I think so.
That's all the questions I have, Mr. Judge.
Thank you. Does the state have questions?
Yes, may I move the TV? I'm just going to show Ms. Blanchard a few exhibits.
Sure. Make sure you can see it, okay, Ms. Blanchard? Can you all see it? Okay.
Ms. Blanchard, you and I have talked before, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to ask you a couple questions, okay?
Yes, sir.
You were asked a little bit about during your relationship that these alter egos that the defendant and you came up with. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
It was the defendant who first introduced you to that idea of alter egos.
Yes, sir.
And he actually first told you about his alter ego, Victor. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And Victor was a vampire that was 500 years old.
Yes, sir.
And you decided to come up with your alter egos just to kind of please him.
Yes, sir.
And also, as part of this fantasy, you also started to kind of consider yourselves as master and slave, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the defendant was the master,
Yes, sir.
and you were the slave.
Yes, sir.
And at one point, he had sent you basically like a bill of sale kind of ownership papers. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And those papers would basically mean that the defendant owned you.
Yes, sir.
And you also were asked a little bit about the videos that you and the defendant sent back and forth. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And on a lot of those videos that you would send, the defendant would actually send you a script beforehand, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that script would instruct you on what to do in the videos.
Yes, sir.
And they weren't always things you wanted to do, correct?
That is correct.
But you did them anyways,
Yes, sir.
because the defendant told you to.
Yes, sir.
Then at some point also, the defendant at least communicated to you about rape fantasy. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And you weren't crazy about that idea, correct?
No, sir.
But I believe that as you described it before, you kind of just let him talk about it, correct?
Yes, sir.
To indulge him.
Yes, sir.
The defendant had told you that he had Asperger's, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the only real symptom or maybe personality trait that you noticed that you thought was a result of that was that he insisted that you always capitalize his name.
Yes, sir.
And he would get mad at you if you would talk to him and not capitalize his name, correct?
That is correct.
Prior to, you and the defendant first discussed the killing of your mom.
I was just thinking that, Caroline. It's like he's saying all this, and all she has to do, and she's probably been coached to do, is just say yes to everything that he's saying instead of asking her, to elaborate or to tell us, what's true based on that type of topic. Just very weird. Hey, Christina, good to see you. This whole thing is a huge circus, drives me nuts, but I keep coming back to see more and more. I know. And apparently she hasn't posted in 6 days. Everyone's going crazy. Like, what is she in trouble? What's going on?
I believe you said about a year prior, correct?
Yes, sir.
And prior to that, you had thought about it before, correct? Like just as a thought.
Yes, sir.
But it was once you were with the defendant that it really became a constant thought, correct?
That is correct.
And that was because the defendant had introduced you to some dark fantasies, correct?
That is correct.
And you felt by being with the defendant and these dark fantasies, that kind of helped bring that out of you.
Yes, sir.
And actually, at one point, the defendant told you he was an assassin in another life.
Yes, sir.
And that as an assassin, he could protect you or take care of you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you had come up with the alternatives. I believe it was 3 plans, right? Plan A, B, and C, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the decision to murder your mom was always the last resort, correct?
Yes, sir.
But the murder was referred to as Plan B, right?
Yes, sir.
So A, B, and C kind of are a little out of order. Is that there?
That is correct.
Okay, so A is try to get mom to like defendant, correct?
That is correct.
And then C would be try to get you pregnant.
Yes, sir.
And you discussed those alternative plans with the defendant, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you discussed the fact that murdering your mom would be a last resort. You discussed that fact with the defendant.
Yes, sir.
Because you both knew that was a serious thing.
Yes, sir.
And the defendant knew that as well.
Yes.
At least he communicated that to you.
Yes.
And when it came to the movie theater, I think we heard that didn't go very well, right?
That is correct.
And basically, your mom thought a 26-year-old guy at a Disney movie by himself maybe a little creepy.
Yes.
Okay, so that plan didn't go well. And then when it came to the pregnancy, which I guess would be Plan C,
Yes.
At some point, the defendant didn't really want to do that plan anymore, correct?
He wanted to do it, but his mother wouldn't allow it.
So he basically told you, communicated to you, I can't do Plan C.
Correct.
But a couple weeks before the murder, you kind of still were suggesting to him, hey, could we hold off and try getting pregnant? Do you remember that?
Yes.
But the defendant never really gave you an answer on that. Do you recall?
No, he never gave me an answer on it.
And remember, fast forward to present time, since she's been released, talking about her pregnancy, she claims she didn't think that she could get pregnant.
He didn't say, sure, let's try that.
No.
So we can keep killing mom as a last resort, nothing like that.
Yes.
All right. Of the plans, you mentioned that how the murder was to take place, that was all up to the defendant, correct?
That is correct.
And I think too much, Mom. That's why a lot of people are very critical of Nick's lawyer. I've seen it in forums and Facebook groups. Everyone is just like, dude, his lawyer was not good at all. Like, there were times, like you're saying here, no one is objecting to the leading, which means they all are on the same page. It's like, or is he just incompetent? I'm not really sure. Not sure what's going on, but there did seem to be some points where, like, objection, not even, you might not even have grounds for the objection, but at least have the jury see something come from you as the defense attorney, in my opinion. No objections at all regarding the leading. Right, not even a peep. And hey, Valerie, good to see you. Hey, Dan. I saw Gabe is in here as well. Thanks for joining, guys. I know. I agree.
And it was the defendant that told you he wanted to stab your mom.
Correct.
And it was the defendant that told you he wanted a knife.
Yes.
And he figured it would be easier for you to get a knife because you could steal it because you would be in the wheelchair, correct?
Correct.
And you knew that the defendant had researched knives online.
Correct.
And at first, he actually wanted you to get like a big machete type knife.
Yes.
But you didn't think that that would be a lot harder to probably wheel out of Walmart, is that right?
That is correct.
So although he wanted the big machete, you basically saw a knife that you thought you could get out of Walmart.
Yes, sir.
And then you took a picture of that knife.
Yes, sir.
And you sent that to the defendant.
Yes, sir.
To make sure that he approved of that knife.
That is correct.
And he did, ultimately.
Yes.
But in addition to the knife, the defendant, since it was his idea on how to kill your mom, he also wanted tape and a taser, correct?
Yes.
And he wanted you to get those items for him.
Yes.
And at one point, you had communicated to him that you had gotten the tape, right?
Yes.
But you apologized to him that you were not able to get the taser.
Yes, sir.
And for him, the tape was so that he was going to be able to muffle your mom.
That is correct.
And the taser was to basically keep her from fighting back. Is that right?
That is correct.
So before June 10th, in preparation for the murder, fair to say the defendant wanted to take steps to muffle her.
That is correct.
And the defendant wanted to take steps to keep her.
Just knowing how calculated she is, I'm having like new thoughts about mailing the knife. Based on what Lily's saying here, kind of got me thinking. Yet she stole the weapon from Walmart, handed him the weapon with the tape and gloves, and sent him an instructional video. She makes me so mad. Our justice system is a joke, as we all know. And then she goes on, also sent the weapon to his house after the crime. And it's almost like, did she set it up so that she could pin it all on him? Like, oh, because most people, and with how calculated she is already, would have gotten rid of the knife altogether. But yet they end up sending it to Nick's house. And it's just very convenient, probably his fingerprints are found on it. He admits to 4 stab wounds, obviously. I don't know. I'm just exactly, Letitia, like, was this a setup? Like, what was the excuse she said that they mailed it back there? Oh, Nick wanted her to take it on the bus, but she thought, that wouldn't be possible or something like that. It's like, she wanted to keep that around on the back burner in case she needed to burn him with this. Like, yes, you know, his fingerprints are right on there. Do you see what I'm saying? Imposter. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, huge setup. It's like she wanted to be caught. Yeah, it's like she thought that they were going to get caught and then realized, like, I need a backup plan, and I'm going to make sure that this murder weapon is still around and it's going to have his prints on it.
From fighting back.
That is correct.
And I'll have you look over here a little bit about your plan afterwards. You wanted to be able to go and live in Wisconsin, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you actually weren't crazy about going to Waukesha County or Big Bend where he lived, correct?
I do not remember.
Do you remember here? I'll show you.
Hey, crazy mama.
So if you see there, you're on both. See it where it's pink and it says Gypsy?
Yeah.
Looks like you kind of had an idea of wanting to go to Milwaukee. You thought sort of that bigger city might be appealing, correct?
I guess that is correct.
And it was the defendant that actually told you, no, I'd rather that we live here in Waukesha. As you can see on the left, see on his text how it's blue and it says defendant over it.
Yes, sir.
Then after he shoots down Milwaukee, you basically say, okay, we can start looking for apartments in Waukesha. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then when it came to the money, you can see here in this conversation on May 30th that you text him that with the $5,000 I have, we will be set. And he says, you know, good idea, correct?
Yes, sir.
And at that time, you thought $5,000 would last you guys a long time, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you say that it's $5,000 you have, and he actually responds there on the left, dear, I know, but you mean our 5,000. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
He wanted to make sure that you knew that wasn't your money, that was going to be your money together, correct?
Yes, sir.
Then you had some messages as the defendant was taking the cab from the Days Inn to your house, right?
Yes, sir.
And those texts pretty much led right up to him being at the door, correct?
Yes, sir.
And before he got to your house, he wanted to make sure that you were wearing something that he approved of. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And if you look there to your right, you agree that, and that's a little bit earlier in the evening, so you stated around 2, 3 o'clock is when your mom died, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that'd be the morning of the 10th.
Yes, sir.
So this is a couple hours before, not about 9 o'clock on the 9th. And he says that he expects you to look like his woman should, and he suggests red fingernail polish, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember you actually told him you didn't have any red fingernail polish?
Yes, sir. I remember.
And so you came up, was it with pink lip gloss?
Pink.
Okay,
Yeah.
Pink fingernail polish.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also, as you can see up there on the right, he wanted you to wear red lipstick, and you didn't have any of that.
That is correct.
And that's, I think, where you settled on pink lip gloss?
Yes.
Okay. And then if you look up there to the right, you can see on the right where it's circled by defendant that he says, so will you or how do you wish to present yourself to him? Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
and you don't answer him right away, and he asks you again there on the left to answer the question, right?
Yes, sir.
And then looks like from 9:25 to 10, you still haven't answered him, and he's asking you again, right?
Yes, sir.
But what he's waiting on an answer for is how you're going to be dressed when he gets there to kill your mom.
Yes, sir.
And you eventually answer him there at 10 that you'll be in a nightgown with painted pink nails and lip gloss, right?
Yes, sir.
And then he says to you, okay, but when he gets you from the bathroom, I suggest you are naked when he sees you after the deed. You see that?
Yes, sir.
And while you were in the bathroom, you could hear your mom, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you heard her scream.
Yes, sir.
And she screamed your name.
Yes, sir.
And once you were cleaning up afterwards, he wanted you to help clean up blood, right?
Yes, sir.
And he wanted you to clean naked.
Yes, sir.
Because that kind of turned him on.
Did her lawyer just hand, or somebody from her legal team hand her a tissue and she doesn't like wipe her eyes or like nose or anything with it? She just like puts it down. They're talking about your mother and what he did to her. She missed the whole like coaching of now you're going to act like you're very upset. Like Erin says, she doesn't need tissues. She's never has tears. It's always the crying face, but dry. Hey, Seth, hope everything's going okay. And you just reminded me, lots of prayers and thoughts to everyone who was in the hurricane path. I heard Tennessee's getting hit hard. Let's see that again. Somebody hands her a tissue and she puts it down.
While you were in the bathroom, you could hear your mom, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you heard her scream.
Yes, sir.
And she screamed your name.
Yes, sir.
And once you were cleaning up afterwards, he wanted you to help clean up blood, right?
Yes, sir.
And he wanted you to clean naked.
Yes, sir.
Because that kind of turned him on.
Yes, sir.
As for I'm jumping back just a second, okay? Going back real quick to your plans for afterwards when you were in Wisconsin, you had a pre-planned story that you were going to say in the event that you were ever caught, right?
Yes, sir.
And he came up with that story.
Yes, sir.
And so, considering the possibility of getting caught after the murder, the defendant told you of a story that you guys could come up with.
Yes, sir.
And actually, before the police arrested you in Wisconsin, you were hiding in the closet of Nick's room together, right?
That is correct.
And he confirmed with you to make sure that you have the story down.
That is correct.
You were asked on direct about the fact that you had provided the gloves, right?
Yes, sir.
And those were gloves that you already had at your house.
Yes, sir.
And if you go ahead and look over to your right, you see here, and this is about 1:30 a.m., you say to him, oh, you may not need to put the gloves on because we will sink it, so it's never found. You're talking about the knife, right?
Yes, sir.
And if you look there to the right, it's the defendant that tells you he is still going to put the gloves on, correct?
Yes, sir.
Even though you suggested he may not need it.
Yes, sir.
So why would she suggest that he doesn't need the gloves? Is this where the framing begins?
Not need to put the gloves on because we will see it, so it's never found. You're talking about the knife, right?
And sorry guys, I didn't realize I was not muted. You can see here that the plan for the knife was to get rid of it. Like that was her plan when she was trying to persuade him not to wear the gloves. And she, I bet you, wasn't gonna get rid of it. She would have just told him, I got rid of it. So then they end up keeping it. He wears the gloves and she mails it to his house.
Yes, sir.
And if you look there to the right, it's the defendant that tells you he is still going to put the gloves on, correct?
Yes, sir.
Even though you suggested he may not need it.
Yes, sir.
I'm almost done. When the defendant agreed to kill your mom, at some point he told you that he also wanted to rape her.
Yes, sir.
You did not want the defendant to rape your mom, correct?
No, sir.
And in fact, in leaving the decision of how to kill her up to the defendant, you never told him to stab her 17 separate times, right?
No.
And you certainly didn't tell him to cut her neck down to the bone, right?
No.
And when he asked you about raping,
Do you see that little act? Looking away. No. There's no tears. You were handed tissues still. You have not picked up these tissues. Oh my God. And that's why this first part one that we did was titled Gypsy Rose, actress in the courtroom and outside the courtroom? I think so.
down to the bone, right?
No.
And when he asked you about raping your mother, you actually talked him out of it, right?
Yes.
And you did so by offering the alternative that he would be able to rape you after the murder, correct?
That's correct.
I don't have any further questions here.
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Did Nick ever rape you?
Do you need some more? Mr. Perry, let her have a drink first.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Did Nick ever rape you?
No.
And when you guys had sex after your mother's murder, was that consensual?
It started out as consensual, yes.
What do you mean it started out as consensual?
I told him to stop during sex, and he did not.
So you agreed to have sex with him consensually?
Yes.
Now, the prosecutor said that, asked you about this story that, which was a lie, of course, about what you were going to tell law enforcement when, if you got caught, correct?
That is
And
correct.
I think you testified that Nick came up with that story.
That is correct.
Isn't it true that both of you
I'm going
came
to
up?
object to leading.
Judge, he's impeached the witness.
Are you going to reference something?
Yes.
Would you tell us the page number, please?
I'll have her.
That you're referencing?
And I also may ask clarification on when I impeached the witness. I don't recall that.
Yeah.
Judge, Judge, can I show her deposition?
To see if it refreshes the recollection. Is that the purpose?
Yes.
Yes. And tell her the page number then, please.
Gypsy, I'm on page 79.
You turn to page 79, please. And I don't want you to read
Yes.
it out loud. If you'd read it to yourself. Please.
Mailed the knife to his house.
I'm going to start with line 5.
Okay.
See line 5 on page 79?
Yes, sir.
Now, first of all, let's be clear what we're talking about. We're talking about a deposition that you gave on November 1st, 2018. You recall that, do you not?
Yes, sir.
The question on line 5 is question. Did they just come into the room? You see that question?
Yes, sir.
There's a rather extended answer of your part. Would you go ahead and just read your answer in full?
Yes, sir.
And if you can't read, I apologize.
I could read, yes, sir. No, they had armored vehicles outside. There were patrol cars all surrounding the house. They came in with the canine unit downstairs. And I remember that because I thought it was his dog barking. But it was the canine unit. And they kept saying, "Come downstairs, Nick Godejohn, you are under arrest. Come down with your hands above your head." And we both woke up at that point. I looked at him scared, and he said to get in the closet. So we both got into his bedroom closet, where we stayed there for a little while discussing what we were going to tell the cops. And I told him, "Let me go down first. Let me leave the closet." I told the officers I'm coming downstairs. They said, "Walk to my voice," and I walked down the stairs. They grabbed me and put me in handcuffs, and they pulled me out into the yard and started asking me questions like, "Does he have any weapons?" And I said no, and that was it.
And in this question and in your answer,
Isn't it interesting she wanted to surrender herself first also? She's reading Sherry a deposition. So it's sworn under oath between her and the defense team before, like a meeting that they did before this. So I think that he's going to elaborate more on why he had her read that.
you talk about this closet situation, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And who did you say in that answer had come up with the story?
We did.
And that's the truth, is it not?
Yes.
It's something you both discussed.
Yes.
Wasn't just him.
No, it was the both of us.
Now, the date that that your mother was murdered, was that the original date, or was it moved up?
It was moved up.
Who moved it up?
I did.
I'm going to object at this point, Your Honor. I believe these questions are outside the scope of the cross.
I'm going to allow it.
Why did you move it up?
He told me that the money was running out and he didn't think that he had enough money for another night stay at the hotel.
Now, you talked a little bit about you had to clean up after your mother's murder. You did that voluntarily, correct?
Yes.
He didn't make you.
No.
And doesn't she state in other interviews that he did make her clean up? And now she's stating right here that she did it willingly. And why did she willingly clean up? Was it because she was involved? So she was cleaning the areas that she was involved with?
What were you doing while your mother was being killed?
I was sitting in the bathroom, on the bathroom floor with my hands covering my ears.
And how did you know when it was over?
It was the code that we settled on to use.
Did you settle on this code together?
Yes.
What was the code?
I believe it was 3 knocks and 2 scratches on the door.
Why did you need a code?
To let me know when to come out of the bathroom.
Did you?
She kind of like hesitates about what the code was. I believe it was 3 knocks and so on, so many scratches. Didn't sound believable to me. Like if there's a code, you would know, you'd be answering a little bit more sharper than that, in my opinion.
Yes.
What was the code?
I believe it was 3 knocks and 2 scratches on the door
Why did you need a code?
to let me know when to come out of the bathroom.
Did you have any concerns about what might happen?
Yes.
What concerns did you have?
I was afraid that my mother would end up hurting him.
Now, this knife, why did you buy the knife at Walmart?
I did not buy it. I stole it.
I apologize. Why did you get the knife? How about that?
He asked me to.
And what was your understanding was going to happen to that knife, with that knife?
He was going to use it to kill my mother.
And you knew that when you went and stole it, correct?
Yes.
Now, there's been some discussion of some of these fantasies you had. These were all fantasies that the two of you had, correct?
Yes, sir.
Collectively.
Yes, sir.
You guys did this with some regularity, correct?
Yes.
And you willingly agreed to make these videos.
Yes.
And you also yourself wrote some letters, some stories to them all set, am I correct?
Yes.
Wrote for him.
Yes.
And this reference to this agreement that you're going to be master slave.
Susie Q, that's such a good question. Wow. Didn't even think that. Why a code if her mom was already gone? Why couldn't he just go to the door and say it's done? Boom. Oh my gosh. So can we confirm that that was probably a lie? I mean, we kind of already were thinking like a code, really? No, not buying it. Wow. Wow. And it just gets revealed more and more. The wool has been pulled over so many people's eyes. Right, and there was probably never a code to begin with. She probably wasn't even in the bathroom. Exactly. And that's how she knows, like, her mother's last words, like we showed earlier in the clip, were, "Don't hurt me."
That was something you guys did together?
I'm going to object. This whole line of questioning has been leading, and this is the defendant's witness. The rules are very clear on that.
It is our.
And the other thing, too, that she says is that her mother was calling out her name. Why wasn't she calling out help?
We're going to start over. Guy to rephrase it.
Thank you.
So, okay. Whose idea was it to have this master slave thing?
It was Nick's.
And did you go along with it willingly?
Yes.
Did you have a problem with it?
I didn't particularly like it, but I went along with it.
Now, you talked a little bit about this situation at the Cinderella movie. And I think you testified on cross-examination that your mother thought it was creepy that a 26-year-old was at a Cinderella movie.
That is correct.
Okay. How old were you during that movie?
23.
That's all the questions. No, Judge, actually, I'd like to make a record before we're done, but if the state has more recross, then we can do it after that.
All right.
Just a couple. That, when you were in the bathroom, you had mentioned the code that you guys have, right?
Yes, sir.
And actually, at some point, the defendant had warned you about coming into the bedroom while he was killing your mom, right?
Yes, sir.
Because he was worried that his evil side could possibly hurt you.
Yes, sir.
And the story that you all came up with in the event that you were caught you were asked a question and an answer from your deposition. Do you remember that?
Can you rephrase that?
Yeah, that was a terrible question. Mr. Perry had asked you to read an answer from your deposition. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Would you do me a favor? Could you turn to page 68?
Yes, sir.
Are you there?
Yes.
Do you see the very, very last line where the question starts, did you?
Yes, sir.
And the question is, did you and Nick have a story? And then you turn to the next page that you guys had put together that if somehow you got caught, you were going to tell this one story. Do you see that question?
Yes, sir.
And what was your answer?
Yes, sir.
And then the question is, what was that story? You see that?
Yes, sir.
And what was your answer?
That my mother kicked me out of the house and that I called him to come pick me up because I was going to live with Nick and his mom.
And then the next question you see is, did you have a story of where you ran into each other? Did anything go that far that you recall? And what was your answer?
No, sir.
And then you see the question, who came up with this story? And what was your answer?
He did.
And also, if you would just look for a moment, going back to the text messages.
Can you see that, Miss?
Yes,
sir.
And there on the left, it looks like this conversation takes place June 8th at about 1:23 p.m., right?
Yes, sir.
And you ask him, is it all good? You got the tickets, hon, right?
Yes, sir.
And then he says to you, dear, please go with the story I had told my mom and stepdad. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Another good point, Billy. She says blood makes her squeamish. I don't like blood, but she cleaned it all up and admitted that Nick didn't make her. I mean, at least under oath here, she admits that Nick didn't make her, and then it changes into he did force her.
And then he responds again, yes, dear.
Yes, sir.
And then if you look there, you ask him, please let me know what story.
Yes, sir.
And then he says, I'll tell you in person, dear, because I'll be able to explain it better then. You see that?
Yes, sir.
And you say, okay, not saying a word on Facebook to anyone after that. But the story referenced in that is this story that you would tell if you were ever called.
Yes, sir.
No other questions?
Thank you.
Just a couple more and then you need to make a recommendation. He told you in that text that it was the story, quote, I had told my mom, correct?
Yes, sir.
I want you to go back to page 69, where you were just reading with the prosecutor. I want to read the very next question. If you can find, I think the prosecutor ended on page 69, line 13.
Yes,
You
sir.
see the very next question starting on line 14?
Yes, sir.
I'll read the question, you can read the answer. But you guys had agreed that this was a story you were going to tell should somehow you guys get arrested. Is that correct? What was your answer?
Yes, sir.
That's all I have, Judge.
Thank you. Anything?
No.
May I ask Ms. B, excuse
I'd like to make a record before we excuse her, Judge, real quick.
privately?
I think it needs to be.
All right. You can put that microphone back if you'd like, Miss.
I'm just speeding it up a little bit. There's Nick, able to look, and is looking right at her. Knows in his heart and mind that she's probably lied so many times up there, she can't even look over at him. He's barely even blinking, just staring right at her like, are you serious? Like, I can't even believe this. So they are done questioning her. She is done testifying. Yeah. And that's it. I think there's more than one contradiction that we were kind of able to spot in her, definitely. In the whole hour and 12 minutes that she testified. We did part 1 last week, and this is part 2. And yeah, there's just too many questions still. Too many questions, too many contradictions and lies. What do you guys think? Because I honestly was like, I don't know what more we can say about her unless something news breaking happens. But what do you guys think about, like we've been doing, following her like updates on social media? A lot of people have said, I'll watch her stuff through you so I don't have to click on her and support her. We go through her updates, quote unquote updates, and then re-examine things from the case. And maybe instead of, obviously we've done her testimony, we could do her interrogation into parts. Because I know it's rather long. It'll definitely take more than one live stream for that. But what do you guys think about doing that? Just let me know.
All right. Are you? Is this excused, Mr. Chairman?
She can go.
Yes, I have to say.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've reached a good time for lunch. I want to again remind you of what you were told at the first.
Just so funny talking about such a horrific crime and stuff. And the judge is like, I think that we've reached a good time for lunch. Oh. I mean, she posted the sonogram place, Kathy. Like, did you watch that? There's still people who are very skeptical, though. So, all right, guys. So that'll be it for the week. Yeah, everyone's got to go eat. Yeah, true. It's just like funny how like cheery the judge was about the break for it. Yeah. All right. So what we'll do is we'll start that in updates and interrogation review next week. And obviously, we're still following other cases. Also, we've got Stephen Stern's interrogation to go through here. I know a lot of people have seen it. I still need to watch it, and I really only like watching some true crime stuff with you guys live and kind of reacting to it. So I want to do that next week. Obviously, another Wade Wilson live stream where we'll kind of gather highlights from the interrogation, the body cam, maybe some phone calls with Wade Wilson as well. And obviously we do Watts deep dives on Thursday. So you guys just have a great weekend. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you to all my moderators. Appreciate you guys very much. And yeah, we will definitely talk on Monday night around the same time. So you all have a great weekend. And everyone who hit the like button, I really appreciate you. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.